Hello. Today we are going to be making, that was my little Asian accent. Today we're going to be making my infamous chicken salad sandwiches. I usually, hold on. Today I only have these sub rolls. I usually serve this sandwich on like those really flaky croissants that you get at the deli. Or I'll put the chicken salad in like a huge serving bowl and have those Keebler Townhouse Flips, the half cracker, half pretzel crackers around it to serve. In my opinion, that's the best cracker to serve it with, because if you're all about texture like I am, I recommend those crackers. But today for lunch, my husband will be here in a few minutes. I sent him to the grocery store to get the green apple and the celery that I need for this recipe. So today we're doing a small version of this. I'm doing a smaller portion version for 2 people. The original recipe will make like a loaf and a half if you're using sandwich bread, just to kind of give you an idea of how much my original recipe makes. Because I usually use a whole rotisserie chicken that I shred up just to kind of make it pretty fast and simple. But today I had about 12 ounces of chicken tenderloins left over that I boiled in chicken bouillon and the leftover lemon from after I squeezed the lemon juice out of it. So I shredded this with my handheld mixer. If you did not know that you could shred chicken in less than a minute with a handheld mixer, well, now you know. So we're gonna go ahead and put all of this stuff in with the chicken salad until Kip comes home with my vegetables and my apple, and we'll get started. So let me move things over so you can see. I'll move the cutting board out of the way. So what we have is chicken, a good brand of mayo, stone ground mustard. I have Dijon. I usually use a better quality stone ground mustard, but this is all we had thanks to coronavirus. I'm trying to put this down for y'all. Shredded cheese. Again, I usually shred my own cheese because shredded cheese freaks me out because of what they put in it to keep it from caking. But again, this is what we had at the store. We didn't have my good little blocks of cheese, so I got to use this. I've got some dry roasted salted almonds that I've kind of crushed up in my little chopper. I've got fresh parsley, green onions, the lemon juice. We're not going to be using all of this. I would probably use a whole lemon in the full version of this recipe, but today we're probably not going to use more than a tablespoon, if that. And then Tony's, which is what I'm going to season the chicken with. And of course, our bread. Whatever bread you choose is fine. I just recommend croissants or the Keebler Townhouse crackers to serve with this, but anything's going to be fine. Okay, so until Kip gets home with all the other stuff, the 2 other things that I'm missing, I'm just going to season this chicken with a little bit of Tony's. It's going to be my only salting agent because we don't want this to get too salty. Just kind of mix that around. And Tony's always makes me sneeze for whatever reason. I'm feeling it tickle my nose now. Okay. I will list the original full measurements in the description box. So when you're watching this video, just know that I'm just making this for 2 people today. So we're just gonna, and I don't like, let me tell you the history of chicken salad. I've never liked chicken salad until I made it myself. And sometimes, and this goes for your kids too, sometimes you have to make something yourself to like it. So if you got picky kids and you want them to try something, have them make it. Have them make up their own version, and they'll be more apt to trying things. So before, I've not liked chicken salads because people would use a crazy amount of mayo, which it's not like I hate mayo. I just don't want a whole mouthful of it. or they would use grapes, which I cannot stand grapes in a chicken salad. It's a texture thing. So I've replaced the grapes with apples because they're crunchy and they add a level of brightness that grapes do not, in my opinion. So we're just using enough mayo and enough mustard just to bind. That's it. So, hold on. Why isn't this going down? Let me move it back. Maybe you can see. Okay. So again, I'm just going to come in here. That's probably like 1/4 of a cup. Okay. I'm just going to do a little bit of mustard. Just like that much. That's probably like a tablespoon. Just enough to get this wet. And if it needs a little bit more, we'll add a little bit more. That's fine. You know what? Sometimes a spoon is better to mix than a spatula. Okay, that's a little too dry. Hold on, Kip's calling. 1 second. Okay, we're back. I didn't do anything during this call, so again, I'm gonna have to add a little bit more of mayo and mustard. About a tablespoon at a time. And with the mustard, about a teaspoon at a time. Just mix it around in there. So you just want to get this a little bit too wet for the chicken, for just the chicken, because once you add all this other stuff, it's going to be perfect enough. So again, I have to add a little bit more mayo. Oops. Again, about another tablespoon. With the mustard, about another teaspoon. And usually when people would ask me for my recipe for chicken salad, I didn't have measurements until I made this for a huge wedding shower. And I was able to figure out how much a loaf would take and how far a rotisserie chicken would stretch. So it was easier to come up with measurements then. Okay, so you see how it's come together? It's just slightly wet. We just want this a little bit more wet so that, again, when we add our other ingredients, it'll be perfectly even. Okay, just even half of a tablespoon of mayo this time. Probably half a teaspoon of mustard this time. Just literally, just a really quick squirt. Okay, and that is perfect. Okay, so then when you're making for two, we're just going to add to, oh, hold on. The thing that I do that most people don't do in their chicken salads is, you know what, when I was making this, I was thinking, if I were just to make a grilled chicken sandwich, what would I put on this grilled chicken sandwich? Cheese. Hello. So I thought, I'm just going to add it to my chicken salad and see what happens. And so sometimes when I make chicken salad sandwiches, usually I'll serve them cold, like I'm going to serve today. Or if I decide that I only have sandwich bread, I'll butter both sides with the sandwich bread, slap some chicken salad in the middle, and stick it in my panini press. And this cheese will form a crust around the edges for the panini, and it is a wonderful thing. So this is wonderful to serve cold, but I recommend you serving it warm too. You could stick it in your oven if you don't have a panini press. The oven will make all of the edges in your sandwich bread nice and toasty. So Highly recommend that. So we're just gonna add a little bit of cheese. My husband's pretty sensitive to cheese, so I don't try to use a whole lot. Looking for my 4th cup. Let's just start with a 4th cup, which is about 4 tablespoons, or which is 4 tablespoons, if you want to break it down. And we'll just do a 1/4 of a cup today. Yeah, that's a good amount. And it gives it some color. That's perfect for that. Okay. Then we're gonna let's do some measurements for y'all, because I know you'll want measurements. Let's start with just a tablespoon of green onions. How about that? Maybe this is freshly chopped parsley. Maybe a loose tablespoon of parsley. And stir that around. Now parsley has more of a lemony kind of taste. So when we add this lemon juice, we want to be very conservative with it. So we don't want this to just taste like lemon and chicken. So let's go with a teaspoon of lemon juice. Just like that. Oh, it smells so good. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. I'm going to wait on Kip to get home with the celery and the green apple, and then we'll put this all together. I'll be right back. And we're back, and my sweet husband brought me celery, and I told him I just needed 1 green apple. So for this recipe, for the big recipe, I'll use like half of an apple. And by the way, when I told him to get me an apple, he was like, I don't want any apple in my chicken salad. And I was like, babe, when we were dating and we had a dinner at our friend's house and I made a whole slew of chicken salad sandwiches, I said, you ate like 2 or 3 sandwiches. So it had apple in it. Then he tried to backtrack and be like, oh, I'm not dogging your chicken salad. But today, we're probably going to use like 1 little wedge. So I'm just going to find a good side, because it's probably the best they had at Publix. I'm not going to use a whole lot, like I said. Probably like, again, a little wedge. Just this much. That's it. I'm even going to cut that in half, because I like to mince them pretty fine, so that people that are like, about green apple in their chicken salad, they won't even notice it. So we're just going to mince it. Probably cut that in half. Y'all know me and my cutting skills. Okay, little strips and then little chunks. It's just going to add another layer of tart, and it's going to brighten up this little dish. Yep, that is a perfect amount right there. It's perfect. And so for the celery stick, now this is a really thin celery stick. I'm only going to use about maybe half, no, probably a 1/4. Just because I use so little when I make the big recipe anyway. I'm probably not even going to use all of this. And I just roughly chop this, just kind of go in, and I'm not the biggest fan of raw celery. But when I was playing around with this recipe, I thought, it needs some sort of like bitter element to it. And celery was the way to go. So, see, just that little 1/4 of a bit. I'm just going to start with even half of that. We're going to taste test it. Mix it around. Now, this is getting a little bit too dry, this right here. But thankfully, since I have boiled my chicken, I'm just gonna get some. I'm just gonna take some of this broth that I had. Usually, I mean, you can go back in and use, you know, mayo and some more mustard if you'd like, but I think it has enough. It just needs a little. It needs to be just a little bit more wet. And I've already put my mayo and my mustard up, so I don't want to have to get those back out. I'm too lazy, I guess. Okay, now that is perfect. Sorry, I had my bread toasting in the oven. I had to get that out real quick, so I'm starting to smell it. Okay, last but not least, my favorite part of this dish, the almonds. If you're allergic to almonds, I'm sure you can use whatever other nut if you want. If you're allergic to nuts, just omit it. But this really does, it's really so good in it. Just gonna sprinkle. I really like almonds in my chicken salad, so that's about 2 tablespoons right there. So we're gonna spread this around. And that, my friends, you know what? I could use more. I like more. About a half tablespoon more that I put in there. Oh, that's perfect. Okay. So, I've got my bread that I toasted in the oven. Y'all know how much I love crunch, how much I love texture. So I'm going to plate these up. Let's move these vegetables. Okay. I don't even have my music going today. Wow. It's like it's really quiet today. Okay. Okay, so half of this mixture, I'm gonna smush it down to where it's the same level. That's how I divide my stuff. Turn this oven off, or else I'll forget. So I'm just gonna divide this bowl in half. Okay. That way, we just bada bing, bada boom. Then you'll just spread these out. Quite honestly, this could have done 3, maybe 4 sandwiches, depending on how much filling you want. But I really love my chicken salad sandwiches. That way I don't have to have 2 sandwiches. Double the protein, less of the carbs. Okay, so just a little side note, you know, I've pretty much over toasted this bread, so I wouldn't put it back in the oven. But if you'd slightly toasted your bread first and you wanted to continue toasting it, you know, you could stick this back in the oven. That cheese in there would melt. Oh, it would be amazing. But this is what it looks like. That's how much it makes. Woo! Almost dropped it. I don't know if you can see all the textures in there. Yeah. It's a gorgeous salad to serve, again, as an appetizer. I'm not going to bite into this because I'm waiting on Kip to get done with his phone call so that we can eat lunch together. But I'm telling you, if you make this chicken salad, you will have everyone knocking down your door for this recipe. Hope you enjoy. Have a great day.